What's going on, guys? Jano here one more time, this with a new episode of Grim Dawn. And this time I'm going to show you how to build a commando that uses guns. I'm gonna base it on my own commando, which is a character that deals a lot of damage. Like, you can kill so many different things like very easily, and since you use better armor than a caster, and you can have a combination of soldier defensive skills, you can have actually quite a good amount of survivality here. So without further ado, we are going to show you. First, we're gonna show you the build. First, I'm gonna mention, probably most people knows, that the commando is the mix of the soldier and a demolitionist. And as you can see, I only use a couple of basic soldier skills like Markovian's advantage, that increases the damage and can activate with pretty much any attack. As much as you don't really use it much with this build, because I picked up this skill when you actually have to melee some things. You have to remember that the demolitionist can also be quite a very good fire build melee character. Then we have the field command, because the field command you can activate it like a buff, and it will give you, you know, it will increase your offensive ability as well as your defensive ability. And this is really good when you actually want to survive a little bit more. You should buff it up with the squad tactics, and as you can see, I only put 1 point in field command, and I have squad tactics maxed out. This will increase your damage, the whole damage you deal, and the attack speed, and that goes directly well with your when you fire your gun. So attack speed is really good for commandos that use guns, or pretty much demolitionists in particular. We also have 1 point in degraded soldier, which you know, gives you a little bit of trauma damage, but I particularly grabbed it because it will give you elemental resistance and also slow resistance. Same with veterancy. It will allow you to regenerate a little bit of health. It will increase your constitution by 18% at this. Like I said, I've only used 1 point, and the reason why I got this is because you remember the constitution will be beneficial for any class, and it will lower the requirement of physique for your armor, which it becomes really good when you want to equip some late game legendaries. I also have military conditioning, which it's a raw buff for physique and health. I will recommend that you should increase this ability quite a lot later on, so you can actually survive ultimate. Let's go to demolitionist skill now. Well, first of all, you're gonna want Fire Strike, and Fire Strike has been an overpowered skill since the beginning of this game. It's still really good, as much as it got nerfed several times. You combine it with Explosive Strike, and you are going to do splash damage to pretty much any enemy that you hit with Fire Strike. And as you can see, Fire Strike is your primary attack, so maxing both Fire Strike and Explosive Strike it's the main way that you're going to deal DPS. You can increase or change it a little bit, your Explosive Strike, with either Searing Might or Searing Strike. I actually grabbed Searing Strike because it modifies your output damage plus give you a 10% crit chance, but also it will decrease the skill or the energy cost of your skills. And as you can see, or you will see, that my build is pretty much balanced around GRENADO, which is, you know, the main way I can do splash AoE damage. My grenades hit for a crap ton of damage, and you can shoot them very, very often. And in between, when you shoot, when you throw your grenades, which, like I said, is gonna be the first way how you're going to kill stuff, you're also going to be throwing gunshots in between with Fire Strike. Well, GRENADO, you are going to max out also high impact because it does a shitload of damage. And I am working on increasing Shattering Blast. And the Shattering Blast is it's also a buff that will increase not only your fire damage but also your pierce damage and your crit damage. Then you get Vindictive Flame, which is a buff that you will activate, and it will increase your output damage by adding some fire damage, and also gives you a chance to stun targets. So it's really good. And I mentioned earlier that attack speed is really important for this build as well, and Vindictive Flame also increases your attack speed. Then we have it buffed with Ulsen's Wrath, which it will allow you to form an arc when you strike foes. It will hit up to 4 targets, which will also have a chance to knock them down. Remember that with this build, the main idea is that you always have your enemies at range, so you don't get hit. And having a chance to stun, knock them down, and also slow them, it's really, really good. Okay? Then we have maxed out Olsen's Chosen, which is one of the exclusive skills. I mean, you can have only one of these ones up, and it's a direct buff of damage. Besides, a little bit of physical damage is converted to fire damage, and it has a really nice lower energy cost on your skills, which, like I said, you are gonna be mana starved by shooting grenades all over the place if you don't decrease the cost somehow. Alright, I also forgot to mention that Fire Strike is also buffed by Static Strike, which gives you some lightning damage and increase your overall fire damage, and Brimstone. And Brimstone, it's a skill that when you shoot your gun, it will shoot some splinters, and those splinters will do it's not a huge amount of damage, but it's cumulative with Fire Strike, or I mean it's Explosive Strike, I'm sorry, and it will do an overall increase on DPS as well. Then we have Blast Shield, and Blast Shield is an amazing defensive cooldown which will activate on its own when you take beyond your 60% health. So it's really good that you're going to see that it works cumulatively very nicely with the boots I use on this character. So let's check on the gear now. Like I said, the Blast Shield works amazingly with Wyrmscale foot guards, and I think I've shown you guys in past builds, in other videos, why I use Wyrmscale in several of my characters, and it's pretty much because when you get hit by either an elemental or a bleeding attack, you get a 6,000 damage absorption shield, and it's really amazing. There's a lot of enemies that shoot elemental shit in this game, and when you want to farm stuff, you're most likely gonna want to just ignore most of the trash and go straight for the champions and the bosses, and this shield will allow you to survive a lot of the damage, and it also activates on its own, so it's amazing. For my weapons, I mainly use 2 Devil Tongues, and you're going to probably say, but Devil Tongues are not that good. Well, Devil Tongues are decent weapons damage wise, but it also gives me skills on demolitionist. So until I get like the rifle from the big set, or I can find another increased attack speed gun or have a better skill, I'm probably going to keep using 2 Devil Tongues. And as you can see, right now my Fire Strike hits for almost 10k on each shot, and my grenades hit for up to 32k damage, which is a shitload. In legs we're using Hellforged leg plates, which increase your cadence as a warrior, or soldier, I'm sorry, that I'm not really using it soldier because this character is mainly a ranged DPS class and not a melee one, but it also gives me to the Grenado. And remember the Grenado, these grenades are my main way of dealing the massive splash damage, okay? As a chance piece, we're using the obsidian plate cuirass, which gives me 2 to blast shield, and also deadly momentum for the soldier. And we do use deadly momentum, so it's really nice. Also, the component that I'm using on this one is a Killian Shattered Soul, which is an amazing freaking component which gives fire, brutality, burn damage, and also 5% attack speed. The Killian's Flame, which is the skill that is granted by it, it's not really good. It's probably good at the start of the game or like mid-game or something, but in here I'm mostly using it for the buffs for the output of my fire damage. In helms, I'm using a Glory of the Silver Knight, which is more a placeholder helm. Even that it's not bad, it gives you 10% to all damage you deal, 27% fire damage, and it has a really big health bonus. Okay, the 46% fire resistance is also not bad at all. Amulet, I'm using a War Master's Pride because also it's kind of a placeholder. It's not bad, it gives you an extra physical damage that, as you can remember, we can convert to fire damage by one of our skills. But I'm mainly using it because it gives 1 skill to soldier and 1 to demolitionist. Again, it's still a placeholder. First ring is an entropic coil, which is a really good fire damage ring that also gives 2 to demon fire and 2 to the hellfire mine. This build doesn't use mines, so it's kind of not the perfect ring, but the fire damage is really nice. And also remember that this one gives 5 to 14 chaos damage, and remember that when you add raw damage to one of your items, it gets added at the start of the mathematical equation, meaning that it will get buffed by all the abilities you have after you do the basic sum of the damage. The second ring I'm using is the Empowered Shield of the Blazing Inferno, which is a really nice non-legendary ring, probably a placeholder at the moment, because I have another entropic coil right here, which is really nice, but I am not using it because at the moment the Shield of Blazing Inferno gives me also 2 skills to Vindictive Flame and 1 to Ulsuin's Wrath, which are skills that I use directly in my build. I know I am losing a lot of fire damage right here, and it is true, but I will make the change very soon. And I know this one is better than the one I have equipped already, but this item I got it not so long ago and I haven't really fixed and tweaked my character at the moment. I'm probably going to end up using 2 entropic coils as well. I also have this empowered Lazarus Ruby, which is a really freaking nice epic amulet that I'm probably going to use to replace my old War Master's Pride, mainly because it will leave, or I'm going to sacrifice the +1 skills to soldiers, which is not really that big of an impact in this build, while adding a lot of fire damage, burn damage, and a base of 6 to 9 fire damage. And like I explained before, it gets added to the base equation and not at the end, so really good. Shoulder, I'm using the Empowered Grenadier Shoulder Guard, which is a really nice shoulder for this build because besides the fire and burn damage, it also gives you 2 things that are really important. +2 to Grenado and 2 to Canister Bomb, which are really nice skills. Remember that Canister Bomb, it's a skill you're going to use to get out of trouble. It's like small grenades that don't do a lot of damage, but they stun the targets, and you can tweak it to make it to stun all the time. But the second nicest part of this shoulder is that it has an embedded Canister Bomb chance on hit. That means that 10% of the time that you get hit, you're going to shoot a fucking Canister Bomb right in the scenario, and you're going to stun enemies that are already hitting you, and that makes it really nice. Remember, as a gunslinger, I'm sorry, I'm not a gunslinger. I'm calling it a gunslinger just because I am a character that uses guns. If you get the idea. But as a gunner or a guy that shoots guns, it's really important that enemies don't get near you, because you are going to deal the DPS from far away. Then I'm sorry, gloves, I'm using the Obsidian Grasp, which is a nice excuse me. It's a nice fire damage gauntlet that gives 6 to 12 base fire damage, increases the fire and physical damage, and it gives 2 to flame touch and 1 to temper. A medal, we're using the legendary Pyroclasm mark, which is amazing. A nice amount of raw fire damage, increase in percentage fire, lightning, burn and electrocute damage, and gives some nice resistances. As well, it gives me 2 to Vindictive Flame and 2 to Ulcin's Wrath, which, like I explained before, are part or key parts to this build. And it also gives the ability to shoot 2 guns instead of 1, which most people have to sacrifice with either a talisman like that gives that, in not being able to use the Marauder's talisman that I will explain a little bit after why I use that. And this will let you shoot both guns at the same time sometimes without having to sacrifice another slot, while being an amazing freaking legendary medal. So if you can get your hands on this one as a commando that uses guns, you should definitely use it. Then as a belt, we're using the Flame Scourge Girdle, which is more like a placeholder, but right now it's nice because it gives me fire and burn damage with a base of 33 burn damage as a raw start. We have +2 to high impact and +2 to inferno. Also, it has an embedded fireball attack that it hits, or it gets cast 10% of the chance you attack, and as a gun user, you are going to attack really fast. So it's quite often that you see these fireballs getting shot, and as much as it's not a huge amount of damage, it's 2 projectiles that do between 2 to 4k damage, which is low damage compared to the other ones, but it's extra, it's free. And also, and the best part of this is that you have a chance to stun the targets for 1 second, so it is not really that bad. Then as a talisman or relic, I'm using the Transcendent relic called the Marauder's Talisman, which is a raw base of elemental damage. It increases the whole damage by 21%, plus fire extra, a little bit of health, and 6% of attack speed, which is really nice. And it also gives you the ability to cast volley. In this volley, when you are using 2-hand pistols, you are actually having a chance to cast this volley automatically, which is again not a lot of damage, but it's added to all the ones that you do. And this Marauder's Talisman also grants you the ability to dual wield ranged weapons. Okay guys, now that we have seen the build and the equipment, I'm going to skip the devotion part because I'm probably going to do a devotion video very soon, kind of giving a help to different builds that I've seen and I've researched. And for this, I'm going to let's go kill a warden to see how this build performs. We just buffed up, and as we can see, the damage increased a little bit. Remember that GRENADO is going to be our first damage way, or our first way to deal damage. We have the Canister Bomb as a defensive ability, and we are going to blast away pretty much everything. Yeah. As you can see, the dual shot is cast quite often. And when you see like a spray of shots like that one, it's when you get the volley shot, and sometimes the fireball that is granted as well. As you can see, the elite difficulty, it's like a joke for this build, and I'm going to make an ultimate very soon as well. I haven't really advanced on this guy much on ultimate, but I will do it because this guy can deal a lot of damage. As you can see, nothing survives more than 1 shot, so I'm gonna kill that pack with a grenade so you can see how much damage this shit does. Yeah.
That skill's not
When you shoot a grenade, everything fucking dies. Canister bomb as a defensive ability. We got a champion right there. Besides, you can shoot your guns and shoot a fucking grenade in the middle without much of a problem, which is really nice. Also, the character is quite fast. A grenade in the face, always good. Then we have a champion. This is great. Yeah, I know some people are going to say, but this is elite difficulty. Yeah, but don't worry. This character is amazingly viable in Ultimate as well. The damage is amazing. It's just that you need to find a way to survive the damage when they get close. And with the defensive abilities, it's not really that hard or complicated. Excuse me. Remember to also hold your shift key so you can shoot without moving. Yeah, this is a really fun build to play. And if you're going to use it on multiplayer, it becomes an amazing add to any parties. Yeah, so you can see everything fucking dies really fast. Okay, we're gonna do the boss now, so you can see how fast you can kill with this build. Remember, the warden will still kill you if you stand still. So we're gonna start up with a grenade. So how much life I took out with just one grenade? Yeah, the grenades are amazing. There we go. Warden got raped. And remember, the Warden only has a few more levels in Ultimate, so it's going to be pretty similar in Ultimate as well. Well guys, I'm gonna leave this video right here. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember that you can try the Commando as a gun user. It's a really fun build, and you're going to be able to be being able to do actually Ultimate without much of a problem. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comment box. If you need help a little bit with how I tweaked out a little bit my build, don't worry, keep asking. I have no problems at all. Subscribe to my channel if you want to keep knowing when I upload new Grim Dawn videos. There is going to be a few chapters of some amazing multiplayer I did with my friends, starting from scratch, so you can see how the game works as a multiplayer adventure, which is amazing. And again, if you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you want me to speak about another build, feel free to ask it. I have no problems. Soon I will show you how to build a pyromancer and also a witch hunter, which are two very nice classes as well, very sought out by people. And again, like I always say, have an excellent, great rest of the day, and I will see you all fellas in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.